What I'm going to do now, we're going to just change the gear a bit, and I would love to invite, where's he gone? Travis, please, to the stage. And we're going to have a little chat. I want you to imagine the scene. This is a cozy fireside chat. At least we got the red of it. Right, we're going to do some introductions, but I've got to start, and I'm going to take a deep breath to make sure I can get your job title out in one go. Travis Johnson, Senior Director, I couldn't do it, International Procurement and Technology Enablement for Walmart International. I don't know how you fit that on a business card, but what does it mean? Walmart International, who are they? What's the role?
So I think it's maybe my boss thought I was multiple personalities. So if you have a longer job title, then maybe there's some schizophrenia that's a part of my role. So Walmart International and then Walmart US, two different divisions. All of the different markets that do exist over in the international outside of the US falls underneath that international division. So there's 7 major markets. We have them in China, South Africa, Chile, Central America, Mexico, Canada. I think I'm missing one. India. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, right. We've heard a lot this morning about category management. I guess, let's just set the scene. Category management in Walmart International. We heard from Lisa that spectrum. Are you just buyers or are you doing more than that? So paint the picture for what it means to you.
Yeah, thanks. And as I was thinking about this, I was thinking of a time we're going to journey back. I'm going to tell a little story. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Since there were many hands that were raised at the comment of overhead projectors, we're going to go back into that era. And I will apologize, too, that for 20 minutes you have to listen to this American accent. I'm looking down at Stefan here and thinking, maybe we need to pull up this French person again with this beautiful accent. Or
sorry, can I just interrupt? Don't encourage them.
or my London friends as well, right? Those are, again, apologies. Hopefully because we all speak procurement, that my accent will dissolve away and we'll just focus on the procurement language. Okay, back in the 1980s, and I know you're thinking, he is not that, he couldn't be that old. I didn't say when in the 80s, and the fact that I actually lived in the 70s as well. But my brother and I, one year we received BMX Mongoose bikes. Does that resonate with anyone else? Okay, all right.
There we go.
There's my tribe right there. But in these were cool because they didn't have the wire spokes. It was these mag aluminum webbed intricacy that existed on the tire. And I had the coolest mongoose sticker right at the goose neck of the bike. And it shined and sparkled. So when the sun hit it, it was like reflective. Now, I know he's like, what are you talking about, Travis?
I'm just checking the structure.
There's a point to how this relates to category management at Walmart. About a half a mile away, there was a field that my brother and I would ride our bikes around. He's 2 years older. I'm around 9 years old at this time. Yeah, don't try and do the math. And so we're off in this field, and there were multiple trails and dirt roads and several jumps, and not jumps like you would have today where it's man-made and constructed, but just normal dirt. And there was one jump that was the big one. And this one, it was cool because it was 3 times bigger than all the rest, but then it was at the base of a hill. So the great thing was you got speed, but the bad thing was you got speed. Now you also would cross a stream. If you jumped right and well, you would miss the stream. But the bad thing is that after about 10 feet of this small dirt path was a dirt road that was a T section into it. So speed, gravity, air, land, brake. Now the brakes at this time, right, these are not hand brakes. This is you push on the back because it didn't go backwards like that. I know that's a novel thing. And you had to skid and turn sideways so that you didn't run into this bank of additional dirt. So I went first. I mean, of course, it was a perfect landing. Everything went well. It did. Okay, maybe it wasn't perfect, but it was exhilarating. Well, then my brother goes, and he's coming down, and as soon as he pulls up on the jump, his handlebars separate from the bike. And at that moment, my life went into slow motion for him, because I thought, what is going to happen? How are you going to even control? And it was a disaster. He landed and just went straight for the bank and just teed right into it, and of course scraped up, and luckily didn't break any bones, but it was a nice walk back. So what is category management and the expectations? Truthfully, I think help us avoid the little things so that we don't crash. All my brother needed to do was check his gooseneck. It wasn't tight. But as a kid, we just want to get on the bike and ride and go jump. But there's a lot of little things, and now sometimes bigger things that exist within all of the vectors that are hitting us with data and risks, that if we have a methodology and a tool to guide us and check the gooseneck, then our chances of crashing are much smaller.
Okay. You now challenge me to the best ever segue I can come up with. I'm going to go for it. Right. Now, you do digitization. Now, I would argue that if you took a BMX bike from the 80s, there wasn't a lot of complexity there. Right? There wasn't a lot to check, and we didn't manage that. So if you now roll forward to the digitization you're doing, how do you check that all the complexity we're now bringing into procurement, that you and your team can keep up with all of that?
That was great.
Did you like that?
I did.
I had to work hard.
We didn't even stage this either. So what would I do? Because I could do the simple things at the BMX bike level, but I would outsource it. Meaning, I take it to a bike shop and have them make sure it's, of course there's little things, but then there are experts that can do it. And I think that's a great analogy too. So as we look at what we've done within category strategy and category management, of course we have a methodology that teaches the why and the how and the what, but that still leaves room for governance to be not performed well. And so digitalization has played a key role for us in that, because it provides the structure, it provides insights around, do we need to check that gooseneck, and how do we do other maintenance in more a complex environment?
Got it. Now look, you've taken on board Cirtuo, and as you described, the complexity of Walmart International, just in scope, would make that challenging enough. But you've done some other stuff with Cirtuo, and I know, we talked about supplier engagement a little bit yesterday. So how have you found Cirtuo as part of that digitization journey, and how you positioned it across yourself and your suppliers?
Yeah. I think a couple things that are great. The thing I love is that the digitalization part for category strategy or category management can be independent of other systems. Right. Now, definitely spend visibility, if that can be integrated in, plays a key role, but deploying it was necessary and quick because we weren't relying on ERP systems. I think I was talking to Manu Schneider Electric, and he was saying how you have 80 ERP systems. What was it? I think it's more.
Oh boy.
100? 60 plus. Okay, that's still mind-blowing. Yeah. So I think about the complexities of spend analytics as well as just upkeep on those P2P systems. Category strategy is a lot more simple because it can be independent of those. Right. And for us, that became a key role of being able to roll out quickly and then bringing in the value of it. So the supplier part too is, for us, where we can, we always want to try and share best practices with our suppliers of technology and digitalization. So we'll share, hey, here's a tool also that you may want to consider. I think that was mentioned yesterday too by someone else.
Yes, it was.
That is an opportunity because if the supply chain becomes more cost effective because of digitalization, then ultimately we at Walmart and the customer receive those benefits of additional cost savings.
Okay, so let's think about those benefits, right? And we've had some good discussions about ROI, and we've heard a little bit this morning about what is that. I'd love to hear your perspective of the benefit, the ROI of having introduced Cirtuo. I mean, is it just around efficiency improvements and demonstrating you can get to a target or you've got a good process, or is it broader in your view?
Yeah. Now I'm worried about saying value creation.
I know, because he'll get cross.
And he's right in the front. But that is interesting to look at. And I think every company is different as to how you define what value is or ROI. But I do wish that there was more of an emphasis on investment of time. I think as Stefan said yesterday, you had a CPO that allocated 4 to 5 months of being able to spend the time investing in that. Whether you're deploying a tool or a process, we usually look at ROI. I think all of us, if we stick it into an NPV model, you've got cost and benefits. But we may say cost as an element of time because of a labor rate, but we know that person's, unless it's outsourced and we're bringing in a third party, that's a cost that exists no matter what. But do we value the time that it's going to take to ramp up to obtain the return on the investment? Because it will take time not to deploy the tool, but for people to be able to adopt, learn, and benefit from it. So back to your answer to the question, there's 3 things we always look at with any solution. Cost savings, of course, governance, and then productivity gains.
Right.
So as I look at Cirtuo for us, the productivity gains for sure, and I'll share an example of that too. And then the governance is, I think, overlooked. But how do I tell a CFO that we're going to get more value because we have governance? They get it and they understand it, but there's no line item on the P&L that says governance. Does anybody else, or have I missed that GL code? No. But it's a real thing that we see leakage happen from a process, and that is waste, as a Six Sigma person would say, right? There's non-value add and there's waste and that time that's spent. On the productivity gains, because I get this asked a lot, was it really efficiency for you? And there was. And I love sharing this one story about this individual in Mexico his name's Arturo. He was right in the process of doing a category strategy, and historically we, like everyone else, leveraged PowerPoints. But then there was a mixture as to what you put in there. Even though we would give a template, they had the liberty of putting in whatever they wanted to.
Right.
And you don't know how much is too much. Is 30 slides too much? Is 50 slides too much? It can go on and on. And so we asked him to try, because we were doing a pilot, and what normally took him the first time was 60 hours.
Right.
And when he did it in Cirtuo, it took 20. Now, some people say, well, was it really 20? Was it that big of a drop? Add in about another 10 hours for the market research, but still a 50% improvement. And I think part of that is there's this external guidance that is helping him know what to do, when to do it, and what questions to ask.
Right.
He was so excited about the results that he automatically went and did another one for a subcategory that then took him 12 hours.
Right.
And then I didn't ask him to, but he sent me later. He's like, hey, I just did my 3rd one. It took me 8 hours. I'm like, okay, so there's efficiencies now because he's becoming more familiar with the tool. But at the immediate onset, there's that value of efficiency and governance, which was great. And the one thing that I've liked is that, and I think today it's important, is that there's this happiness, or I feel better about my job. Because I'm doing something with a tool that makes it easier. Yeah. When they start to see, and I've said this to a few people, but usually I don't have to perform a lot of change management. And I hate the word a lot because that's very subjective. Yet when they start seeing graphs be built out on their own, and they don't have to create it in Excel, then there's this natural affinity for, oh, my life is easier because I don't have to do things that I hate to do because the tool's doing it for me. Which, does that directly reduce turnover? I don't know. We haven't studied it, but today's day and age, that's a concern for us, especially in markets like Mexico and China where turnover is very high.
Right. And if finding the geocode for governance is tough, the one for happiness is even
more tough.
Right.
Yeah.
However, I am going to get you two together to talk about doing a lot of value creation, because then you can both get annoyed, right? Okay, right. Benefits, hard and soft. I've got to come back to this idea, though, of a cost of not doing it. So, one of the things that, Eloise talked about last night was about going fast and being bold and doing it. And, because of business case and demonstrating value and an obsession on return on pure cash investment, lots of people don't make the step. I'd love to hear your view on, because you leapt. So, in your view, what would have been the cost of not doing it had you not decided to be bold and take that leap?
Yeah, I think two things. I mean, the first part would be we wouldn't have moved to the productivity gains and the efficiency where individuals, some more than others, know how to repurpose their time into the right activities to do. So that to me is a natural byproduct of productivity and efficiency. I think the other thing too, though, is that we were able to focus more on strategic, and also we found some gaps that we needed to improve on. I'm going to do your non-scientific straw poll, if I can.
Please.
How many people here would say that? Okay, actually, I'll say my belief is, my opinion is that probably 60% of procurement professionals do not know how to think critically or analytically very well. Who would agree? Okay, so yeah, if it's 80%, how many think it's more, like it's a higher percent, that really have a challenge thinking critically or analytically? Is it difficult? Okay, so maybe it's 50%, but if 50% of our personnel have a difficult time thinking strategically or out of the box, which is another one that I don't like saying, then I'm missing a lot of strategy. I'm missing 50% of opportunities. So that's my opportunity cost, is if I don't do it, if I have a tool that's going to make recommendations on things that they might not normally think about, and I'm not using that tool, then I've missed out on those things. I think sourcing professionals are very good at doing RFX and negotiations. And we teach that in academia, which I think is a little bit unfortunate if we don't advance it beyond. And one of the things I love about Cirtuo's strategic footprint is it has these 8 value drivers. Well, we're really good at competition and cost, but what about the other 6? And if I don't have individuals or sourcing professionals that really know how to think about the other 6, that's my opportunity cost, because that's additional value lost.
And I guess then it also then allows you to focus how you're going to develop the team to address those gaps.
Yeah, exactly. So that was what we found in doing this, is that we lacked really good methodology and training on critical thinking and storytelling.
Right.
We have very poor storytellers and individuals that can challenge and be curious and asking those questions to look at the art of the possible.
Travis, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm not quite sure how we got from BMX bikes to digital Cirtuo, but on behalf of us all, thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Bravo.
for sure. Thank you.
Great job. Yeah. Thank you.